So the past few days we've talked about how to set up our equations when we did proportions, but we didn't actually solve them. And so today we're going to go through and actually solve some equations. Okay, so this is page 17 and 18 in your book. Page 16 is kind of notes, so you're welcome to look through those. I took it out if you are just clicking the link on Canvas. But again, this is page 17 and 18. So they have some notes up top. I don't really like notes. I'd rather just go through some example problems. And so right now I'm going to go through 4 different problems with you guys, and then hopefully after this we're able to work. So this first one, when we solve equations, what I want you to do is draw a line all the way down the equal sign and circle our variable. We draw a line to separate the left side from the right side, and those two sides have to be equal. And then we circle our variable because that's the side of the equation that I want to work with. So I'm going to look at my left side because that's where the x is. So now the opposite of plus 7, so the opposite of adding, we're going to subtract 7 right underneath it. And the reason for that is 7 minus 7, those two things cancel out. We want them to cancel out. So now I have to balance my equation. So if I subtract 7 on the left side of my equation, I need to come over here to the right side of my equation and subtract 7 there. So then 9 minus 7 gives me 2. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. Remember, that's what that line means. And then bring down my variable, x. So there's my first one. So then 2 through 6 right underneath it are all practicing those. So now I'm going to go through number 7 right here. So same thing, I'm going to draw a line down my equal sign and this variable. So my variable's on the left side of my equation, so that's the side I'm going to work on. If it was on the right side, then I would work on the right side of my equation. So now over here I have minus 14. So I'm going to do the opposite of subtracting 14. So the opposite of subtracting 14 is add 14. And remember, there's a minus sign here. That's the same thing as a negative sign. So negative 14 plus 14 cancel out. That's equal to 0. So if I add 14 on the left, I'm going to come over here to the right side, add 14. Remember, whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do the same thing to the other side. So then 10 plus 14 gives me 24. Bring down my equal sign and bring down my variable. So x equals 24. So 8 through 12 are practicing those types of problems. So I'm going to move on now to number 13. So same thing, I want to draw my line, circle my variable. Okay, so when I have a number right next to a variable, that means multiply. So I need to do the opposite of multiplying to get rid of that 4. So the opposite of multiplying by 4 is divide by 4. And in algebra, we're always going to do division as fractions. It just makes things a whole lot easier for us. So now, if I have the same number on the top and the bottom of a fraction, we can cancel those out. They're equal to 1, but we cancel them out. So if I divide by 4 on the left side, I can come here to the right side and divide by 4. And again, we want to make that a fraction. So then 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. I can bring down my equal, and I still have left. So there's my answer, x equals 5. Okay, so again, you can pause the video while you work on 14 through 18 right there. Now I'm going to do one more example problem with you, number 19. So I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign, circle this variable. So now I need to Take a look at this. So I have x divided by 8. Remember, that's what fractions mean. They just mean divide. So the opposite of dividing by 8 is multiply by 8. So here's how we're going to write that. We're going to use the dot times 8. Remember, we don't ever use the x for multiply. We're going to use the dot. So now I have an 8 on the top of my fraction and an 8 on the bottom, so I can come out just like we did over here in number 13. So if I multiply by 8 on the left, I'm going to come over here to the right side, and I'm going to multiply by 8. Again, we're not going to use the x for multiply. So 10 times 8. Okay, so now 20 through 24 on the front are practicing those types of problems. Once you're done with the front, if you know what's going on, we can get some of the back done also. Problems on the back, I understand that. Just more practice. For sure, get the front of this page done today with all 4 types of equations.